Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Sunday night. Welcome to the Jibber Jabber podcast, where tonight we are doing the deep dive of what, J-Mac?
Sleepy Hollow. You can tell if you look in the bottom left, but that's what we're doing. So it's been a long time since I've seen it, so the revisit I had today was quite nice.
It was great. So for anybody that's never seen a deep dive before, or if you're at home listening to this on Spotify, Google podcasts, you need to check us out on YouTube or Facebook, where you can watch this episode, where you'll get to see what we're talking about, not only hear it. But for anybody that hasn't experienced the Jibber Jabber deep dive before, this is where we talk long form about movies that we love. Usually we tend to go for movies that are from the past, maybe 20 years ago, but it would be cool to do something quite new, which I'm going to ask you live later on to see if you'd be up for doing this really good horror film that we seen not too long ago. But for those of you that are joining us, it's probably because you already know we promoted it for a week, that we are doing Sleepy Hollow tonight. This was released in 1999,
which was 22 years ago.
Mental when you think about it. Really. I was 8 when this came out.
Yeah, I was 14 year old boy.
You were kind of old enough to watch it. I mean, you could deal with it. This is one of those movies that I did watch growing up, so I was probably about 8 when I saw it.
Well, I had the conversation with you earlier on when I'd said to my wife that we were going to watch this today. She's like, "Oh, that's good. I quite like that, I think." And she says, "Do you think the wee man could watch it with us?" It was like, I don't know. I was like, I'll need to. I said, I don't remember it being particularly bad, but I remember there being some quite kind of like scary images more than terrifying, but stuff that if I was a kid, it would probably freak me out. And after watching it today, I'm glad that we didn't let him watch it, because there is some stuff in it that's pretty grisly. But we'll get into that.
Aye, absolutely. We've got a full show jam-packed full of trivia, behind-the-scenes stuff, some cool pictures, stuff that you probably don't know that you know, but you know, or you knew at one point. But before we get right into the body of what it is, I am going to play the trailer, the official trailer for Sleepy Hollow. Here it is.
Constable Ichabod Crane, sent from New York to investigate murder in Sleepy Hollow.
How much of your superiors explained to you?
Only that the 3 were slain in open ground, their heads severed from their bodies.
Taken by the Headless Horseman, taken back to hell. He rode a giant black steed. To look at him made your blood run cold. Even today, the Western Woods is a haunted place where brave men will not venture.
We have murders in New York without benefit of ghouls and goblins.
You're a long way from New York, Constable.
That witch's face just scared the shit out of me.
Is everyone in this village enthralled to superstition?
We have many things to talk about, even in this backward place.
Excuse my manner. I'm not used to.
Female company?
Murder! The Horseman's killed again!
The assassin is a man of flesh and blood, and I will discover him.
Are you so certain of everything?
Perhaps there's a bit of a witch in you, Katrina.
Why do you say that?
Because you've bewitched me.
Wow, Sleepy Hollow, man, brings it all back, and I could watch this probably about 4 or 5 times a day, every day. It's just one of those things. And as you said there during the trailer, that woman is awfully creepy, but we will get that. We will get to that because we're gonna essentially do the full rundown of the movie, talk about all the cool parts that kind of pertain to what we're chatting about. But before we do that, I'm just going to let you guys know at home you can go to www.jibberjabberstore.co.uk where you can buy some really cool threads. We've got the original Jibber Jabber podcast t-shirt, like you can see here if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook at home. JMac also has a personalized one there. You could essentially ask us. And there are some almost parody-like t-shirts and hoodies you can get. Jibber Jabber podcast.
Is it parody? It's homage. It's definitely
homage. Yeah. So we've got the Jurassic Park. We've got Top Gun. We have a new cool new one coming that'll be for a special episode, which you guys you saw it, J Mac.
I saw it. I actually forgot to reply to the designer when she sent it to me. I did, but no, it's pretty sweet.
It's amazing. So you can find all that at jibberjabberstore.co.uk, and you can also contact us and get involved with what we do at www.jibberjabberpodcast.com. So on to the deep dive. So before we jump into it, this movie was released on November the 19th, 1991 with Paramount Pictures and Mandalay Pictures. Obviously, it was directed by Tim Burton. It doesn't take a genius to work that out, even just looking at the artwork, right?
It's funny, even when it came up at the start, directed by Tim Burton, I thought underneath it should say, duh.
Exactly. I mean, you can literally hear Danny Elfman. Danny Elfman has that very particular sound. And then the budget was 100 million for this, and we will talk about in the show exactly why it would cost that much, and it makes sense. 100 million. Think about how much money that is for a second. 1 million would kind of leave you pretty all right for the rest of your life, right? 100 million for one project.
I mean, it's really not that uncommon for movies to cost 1, 2, even 300 million these days. If you're talking about a Marvel film, it's absolutely mental. But for a film that's essentially a horror mystery, no, that just doesn't happen. You're lucky if you get a 10 or 20 million budget for something like that normally, but 100 million is pretty spectacular for something of this ilk.
Yeah, we can talk about exactly where that money went, or at least where we think it went. But it did gross 206 million worldwide. So that, my friends, is a success because they got their million back, and then they got their 100 million back, then another 100 million, and then 6 million on top of that. So
it's like a mortgage. It's almost like a mortgage. I worked at it's actually when you sit and look at a mortgage payment. My house cost, say for example, 100,000. By the time I've paid it back, I've paid them back 220,000. Honestly, it's mental. Absolutely mental. It's daylight robbery, but we all think we're winning.
Exactly. So this movie was also written initially as a short story called, obviously, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow by Washington Irving. What a name, Washington. Washington Squire, you are, you know.
That's just asking for your kid to get bullied, isn't it?
Just
it's like, would we call him Stephen? It's like, no. Would we call him Michael? No. Washington, this'll be fun.
Have you done the dishes, Washington? But Heather Dow says, yes, you did forget J-Mac. She's raging you left her on red. I thought, oh, well, then you don't like it. Left me on red. You're going to have to make up.
I'm not bad for that, am I, Kevin?
No, not at all.
They left me on red.
Exactly. You guys at home, make sure to, as you're watching this show, hit us up in the comments section. Tell us what you love about Sleepy Hollow. We'll chat to you as soon as we can on the show. Go through a format to go through here, but we do love to hear your comments, and there are comments as well that I gathered earlier from different groups that we'll kind of chat about. So we're gonna head into the deep dive now, right? Before we get into it chronologically, something I wanted to talk about was visually how amazing it looks, and also the score, right? So let's deal with the score, because you're guaranteed anytime you watch a Tim Burton movie, you know who's going to be the composer.
John Williams.
Exactly. So John Williams is class now. It is Danny Elfman, right from Wisteria Lane, right onto the movies. You know, he also done the score for Desperate Housewives.
You're joking.
Mate, right now, I don't watch Desperate Housewives, or I didn't watch Desperate Housewives until my wife started watching it. And then I've pretty much seen a lot of it. And the one cool thing about it was, well, you know, when you get those tracking shots by the picket fence, it's got a wee Danny Elfman score. And I'm like, this is all I need. This is all I need. It's straight from the handbook of Edward Scissorhands.
The thing is, with most of the big movie composers, you can tell they do have a sound about them. Like you can tell a John Williams score, you can tell a Danny Elfman. Alan Silvestri, I would say, is a bit more versatile. Like you wouldn't realize a lot of the time that's his stuff, but that is that a testament to how talented he is, that he's so versatile, or does it mean that he doesn't have a unique sound? I don't know. But we're not talking about him. We're talking about Danny Elfman, who definitely does have a unique sound.
Hey, as you're naming some of the greatest composers there, let's not also leave out Harry Fartbanger. He's up there with the rest of them.
How did I forget about the old Fartbanger boy?
That, if you want to know what we're alluding to here, you have to go back and check out our previous episodes in the archive, which you can find everywhere on any podcast platform. You can also go straight to www.jibberjabberpodcast.com, where you can find a full feed of all our previous episodes, or check our YouTube out and you can go through back all that, and it's all there. It's everywhere. We're not hard to find.
I still remember that moment where you'd clearly just forgotten his name. It's like you hadn't written it down, or you'd be like, Harry Fartbanger. And I remember like peeing just a wee bit.
just a bit. I'd forgotten essentially what his full name was. So his score is nothing short of greatness. This movie has a certain theme to it that kind of, it is as simple as this. Tim Burton paints, or Tim Burton gives the lyrics to Danny Elfman's music, and the lyrics are visual lyrics. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Together they just make perfect sense. So visually, did you notice right at the very beginning of the movie, right, the titles actually correlate to what's going on the screen? So, for example, when Ichabod's, it's not actually Ichabod, it's Peter Van Garrett, when he's going through the forest, right, the titles will come up, but then they kind of disappear like branches. When he's then, there's a shot of him going, he's riding his horse, well, he's in the carriage, and he's going past a lake. You can see they appear, but also the shadow of them's on the lake, and they kind of drift away.
Right, yeah.
That for me is like, yes, like small details, man.
And that cost 90 million.
And there's the budget. No, but see little things like that, I think it's incredible. Also, did you know visually they put a blue filter over this movie? The full movie.
I did know that basically the entire film. I think there are certain exceptions. There's some flashback stuff and stuff like that. I don't think used it, but most of the film was used with this blue filter to give it that kind of eerie, cool feeling. But as a result, they had to use bright orange blood so that it would look red. Now, one of my kind of childhood films when I was growing up, and something that I'll still watch at least once a year, is The Big Boss. You know, the Bruce Lee movie. And I remember the blood in that film looked so bright orange and fake that I could never. You can't get past it. It jumps out the screen at you. Okay. In this film, I was like, I bet that's the same color. Once I found that out, I was like, I bet it's the same color. And unfortunately, the Bruce Lee film didn't have a blue filter, so it just looked like tomato soup.
It is what it is, but the blood in this did have a bit of a different, like, see when he's chopping the tree and stuff, the blood did look a bit different from your usual blood that you would see in other horror movies. But to me, I think that just is props to the movie itself. It's unique to the project, and I'm absolutely fine with that. But I think visually, this movie it sets a tone. You feel like you're in Sleepy Hollow.
One of the things that I think is kind of missing from kind of modern movies is the actual feeling of being in a movie. Now, as silly as it sounds, I like it when I can tell that what I'm watching is a movie set. Do you know, like, we were watching, for example, Little Shop of Horrors a few weeks ago, and you can tell that it's all just filmed on a soundstage somewhere, and it's all fake buildings. You know that every brick is made of foam, you know, and I actually love that. I love that's what gives me the escapism. I think that things are too hyper real nowadays, and you lose that escapism. And also, I mean, the fact that they built the entire town of Sleepy Hollow, they built that whole thing for, I think, did that cost, was that 1.3 million, something like that, to build that town in Englandshire somewhere. And and you look at that and go, I miss that, because now if you were to get like a pan shot or a sweeping shot of a town that this, or a fictional town that something's set in, it's CGI now.
Mhm.
They don't make the effort anymore, and that was proper effort.
And that is why the budget was probably 100 million. So what we're saying is, give them bigger budgets and you'll get a bigger return.
Absolutely.
Until it doesn't. But I think one of the big things about this movie, and we'll probably talk about this the whole way through this deep dive episode, is just how stunning it looks, right? Not only that, the cast and the fact that they've all got a really large presence when they're on camera. I think this movie has every different ingredient that makes the perfect recipe for a classic.
Mm-hmm. I mean, when you look at the cast of characters, I mean, you start off with the obvious. You've got Johnny Depp. When I think it's kind of around that turning point for Johnny Depp where he started being really quite Tim Burton-y in real life.
Well, this was his third. This was his third time working with Tim Burton.
What was it? I know he did Edward Scissorhands before. What was it?
Ed Gein.
Ed Wood.
Ed Wood. Was it Ed Gein? Ed Wood.
No, Ed Gein's a serial killer.
I thought it was Ed Gein.
No, Ed Wood. Ed Wood's the guy that made Plan 9 from Outer Space. I think he was like a terrible movie director back in the old Hollywood
right.
days.
So what we'll do is we'll just edit this part out of the podcast so no one can hear me make a mistake.
But it's live.
We're live. Right, Ed Wood, yeah. So this was his third time, and it was actually, I think it was at this point where, and what Tim Burton had said about Johnny Depp in this movie was he loved essentially how Johnny liked to be so different and bring his characters to life. And one of the things we will talk about further on in the show is how Ichabod Crane isn't exactly what like the original idea for Ichabod wasn't actually what we've seen in the movie because he was different. Now Johnny Depp wanted to. In fact, I'll tell it now. Right, so there were other actors. There were two other actors that were considered, and Tim Burton wasn't essentially a part of this in the early stages of Sleepy Hollow. It was because he was actually working on Superman Lives, where Superman was going to be bloody Nicolas Cage, right?
How did that fall through?
Right, but that went tits up, and what happened was Tim Burton was now free, so they brought him onto Sleepy Hollow. He pretty much headed it, and he knew straight up, I want Johnny Depp. But the studio were like, but what about, we've got Brad Pitt and Liam Neeson? He was like, Johnny Depp. So they got Johnny Depp, right? And Johnny Depp came into it wanting to be Ichabod Crane. Now, Ichabod Crane is not handsome. Now, I actually went back and audiobooked the original short story of The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. And Ichabod is described as a big long nose, big creaky guy. He's a big lanky git, right? So I'm going to show you now visually how Ichabod Crane was supposed to look, right? Now, that is Ichabod Crane. And Johnny Depp came in to this project essentially saying, I want to be that guy. So he was like, I want to get the prosthetics and I want to have the nose bigger. I want to look, I really want to get into this character. And the studio were like, no. And he's like, why? He's like, because if we're paying that kind of money to get Johnny Depp, then by God, we're getting Johnny Depp. So,
he did get to do it a few years later in Tusk, but that's another story. But yeah, I mean, they do that quite a lot, though. I mean, you look at historical figures, and they end up getting people to play them that look nothing like them, even in a fictional sense. Like one of the best kind of literary casting choices when it comes to the original to the modern taken was casting Benedict Cumberbatch as Sherlock Holmes. If you listen to the old Sherlock Holmes stories, absolutely perfect. There's nobody else that could have come close to looking as good for that part as him.
Yeah.
Ichabod Crane, who would you get? Do you know what I mean? I mean, who looks like that? Steve Buscemi, maybe. Even that's a stretch. But yeah. Liam Neeson, I could kind of get it. He's certainly back then he was really tall and thin. Brad Pitt, just no. I don't think he could have played that role. I don't think I think that role would have been too big for him back then.
How many times do people say that though about different actors, and then they go on to actually really kill a role? Like for example, Robert Pattinson. Not saying he's killed it yet, but people are shooting him down, and I think he's an underdog. I think he might do really well at being Batman.
That remains to be seen. I'm hopeful for it. The trailer made it look pretty awesome. So, aye,
yeah. See, so you know, Johnny Depp actually borrowed his character from Fright Night. It was actually Roddy McDowell's performance in Fright Night, and that's essentially what made him, like, he was like, right, I'm going to take this character, make him my own, mix a little bit of actual Ichabod Crane there, and create this version of Ichabod Crane. How crazy is that? So Fright Night had inspiration on that.
I remember reading that earlier on. I was like, that's hilarious, because obviously we just had the conversation with Gary Smart at the weekend about Fright Night and Roddy McDowell, blah blah blah, and I was like, I've never seen Fright Night, and I still haven't. I really need to pull my thumb out of my ass.
It's Peter Vincent, that character it's Roddy McDowell's. He takes that character and is just like, I'm going to use this.
Oh, that's right. I remember saying to Gary that I quite liked the Fright Night remake, and he was like,
yeah.
Because the particular thing that he was unhappy with was the Peter Vincent portrayal by David Tennant. But anyway, that's another movie.
Mate, you're the one that you do this every time. You're like, so I'm just going to go off into the left. But anyway, why are we doing over here? Let's go back.
No, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm just saying, anyway, pass it back.
Mate,
I was not blaming you.
All right. I
got awkward really quickly.
That wasn't awkward for me. I was just explaining something to you. So the movie starts essentially with Peter Van Garrett. It's kind of as the titles go from like that kind of thing I said at the start with the visual kind of creeping over the water to then you're seeing someone writing a letter and all that fancy squiggly writing, which is what we assume that everybody back in the day was able to write like that. What do you think?
You could either write like that or you couldn't write at all.
Aye, because not so many people could write back then or read. Yeah. So those that could probably wrote like that because they were so much better than everyone else, right?
Oh, I mean, I remember at one point there's something gets written down and it said 5 to 4, and I just loved the way the 5 and the 4 looked. I was like, I'm going to try that. And I was like, nope.
So it's all quilled and stuff. So he's obviously writing something. He's writing a letter to someone, and then he burns the old candle and stamps it, and he gets into his carriage with his coach rider guy,
chauffeur.
Well, we'll call it that, right? I don't know what they're called back then, but
it's a chauffeur. It's a traditional name for one that drives something.
No, we'll go with that, J-Mac. We'll go with that.
We will. Because it's the truth. What was that in?
I don't know.
Do you remember?
No.
It was Muppets Christmas Carol.
But you missed it.
I'm the stone you can't squeeze blood from, and that's the truth. It was launched at the end.
You missed it twice.
Right, let's go.
We'll find one. We'll find another one. So we kick off with the very first scene. Is essentially the death of Peter Van Garrett, which sets the whole movie into motion. Heather Dow says, "Fancy squiggly writing equals calligraphy."
That is right.
Right. Well, you're a teacher or something. Are you someone that teaches people? What are they called again? So Peter Van Garrett, right? This is the thing that gets me. So it's quite cool. You see him in that old Highlander style carriage, in Highlander Endgame where they're kicking about before they meet Edge, and he tries to throw a rock on him, and he's like, "You've lost your edge." So we've got that old style kind of way of being chauffeured by a carriage and a horse. And then it's cool. It looks really nice, and it sets the scene. And he's passing a big forest-looking place with a big scarecrow with a big pumpkin head. And then here's the first thing I didn't get, right? So we're aware that something, right, is coming for him because you can hear, right? It's all starting to get intense, right? And then you hear, sing! It's a sheath, and then his driver loses his head. Now I'm like this, right? Knowing what I know now, right? Because it's not the first time I've seen it. It ain't my first rodeo. Why did the chauffeur get killed? Why did he get killed? Like, because the horseman doesn't think logically, like, oh, how am I taking him out? Well, I'll need to take his driver out. No, we've seen this guy throw a fence post through a church to take one person out, right? He knows how to kill one person. Why did the driver have to die?
That's called dramatic effect. But there's quite a few questions like that in the movie, and there's one question you're going to laugh when I tell you this one. There's one question that I didn't think to ask right up until that, like the last 5 minutes of the film. I was sitting there and I turned to my wife and I goes, "How can he fucking see?" I felt so stupid after. I was like,
well, I think I know the answer to that. If you would like me to give it to you,
no, I'd rather just not feel like an idiot.
I have to get to you. You've set it out there in the universe, and I'm coming right back at you with it. He essentially is an apparition. So he is a reanimated corpse, right? Now, obviously, with him being alive, well, he's not alive. So he's functioning the way a live person will, with obviously the exception of his head. So his arms and his legs and everything are reanimated. His full being is reanimated. And he's in search of his skull. So he's essentially there. He can see you, just not with his head.
But see, that's again, it's just another wee bit of the logic that I never get is, can an apparition actually cause any damage? Can it hurt you? Because an apparition is exactly that. It's an apparition. It's a visual thing. It can't physically do anything.
It can if it was summoned by a white witch.
Goddamn white people.
I mean, does that count because it's against the white?
No, that's why you can say that sort of stuff, man. It's fine.
Exactly. So we see Peter Van Garrett essentially go off his head. And see the way it happens as well. Does it not kind of feel like Edward Scissorhands was coming at him in that scene? And because with it being the Horseman, he usually takes a big swing and somebody's head comes off. But the camera kind of just zooms into him and he turns around and goes, "Ah!" And it's like, all you see is that and then blood. Like, you don't actually see a swing. You don't hear a swing. It's just like someone runs into him and then his head falls off.
I think it's just, it's that kind of building the anticipation for the moment where you actually do get to see the full act happen. Which when it does happen is quite satisfying. Like, I mean, actually, can I just say that the effect for the Headless Horseman is really, really good. I mean, it sounds like a really simple thing. I'd make a guy look like he's not got a head. This was 1999. It was easy for stuff to still look a bit shitty with CGI.
Especially
really good, really, really good. I mean, I think it was Ray Park actually that was in the costume. Ray Park.
I was going to get to that. I was going to wait till I introduced the Horseman, and I've got a whole wee segment on that.
See, this is why we should talk before the show. But see, there's footage of how they actually did it, and it's really clever. But again, we'll probably talk about it later on. If
it's like a wee blue mask.
It's just a wee blue mask, and the collar is CGI. And I found that was a really interesting wee detail. But because I knew that, I spent the whole film looking for it. I spent the whole film trying to find a point where I was like, "Ha ha, you can see it." Genuinely couldn't. It really, really well done. Really well done.
That'd be the 100 million, mate. 100 million.
Yeah.
So Peter Van Garrett is dead now, and we go to essentially what is New York back in the day, and we are introduced to Ichabod Crane. Some name, right?
Aye, it sounds like something you'd find on your heel after a long walk. So, what are you limping for? Oh, I've got an Ichabod. Fuck's sake. You know, it's a really, really horrid name. It's like, I had a really horrible woman's name in my mind there. There's just a fucking it's gone. It's gone. It will come back to me. But there's some names where you just go, why would you ever do that to somebody? Why would you name your kid that particular name?
We'll be talking about one of the scenes towards the end, and you'll be like, Shenestiny! I'm like, what? That's it, Shenestiny! That's the worst name I've ever heard.
Is that a real name?
Probably. Shenestiny. It's like Destiny and Sharon.
That's pretty bad. Like
Shenestiny. So we're in New York now, which is, hey, how cool, how visually cool did old Sweeney Todd looking New York look?
It makes you kind of wish you were there in a way. But I think it's something that looking at old movies does that. You watch them, you're like, fuck, I wish I was alive back then. Life was so much simpler. Everybody had everybody had a job that wanted a job, blah blah blah. And then you think about it and you go, actually, no, things were quite shit back then. It was only good for a very, very few people.
You
and
kind of
that's,
see.
that's kind of illustrated at the beginning with the jail scene, which I did laugh at. It's just literally just chuck folk into pits. Way,
Mate,
like, wow.
We kind of come across him fishing a dead body out of the water, right? And I love the he's proper. He's right for his job when other people may not be. It's like, well, when we're introduced to Christopher Lee after he finds this dead body, and he's having a bit of a to and fro with him, saying essentially, "Hey, we don't know how this guy died." And he's like, "If we find him in the water, he'll fucking drown then."
I did laugh. I nearly wrote that one. In fact, I'd started writing that one down from a memorable quote. And I was like, no, I can't write it down yet. There's so much more to come. There's so much more movie to go. But no, that did make. They find him in the water, they drown.
Pretty much, just like one add one is two, and that's it. End of. Yet he seems to want to lead with a more scientific mind. He's got the passion to really get in about it, which we kind of see throughout the movie. And so he's kind of going back and forth with. And by the way, Christopher Lee in this courtroom. Right, this is what they call the courtroom scene. How much of a presence does Christopher Lee have on a screen?
I thought that myself. I was like, it's really nice to see Christopher Lee again, because obviously I've not seen him for a while. But and unlike the rest of the world, I'm not a huge Lord of the Rings fan, so I don't have all that to kind of. I don't have that Christopher Lee memory bank in there. So when I seen him, I was like, it's nice to see him again. But there's a bit where he just points at Ichabod. He's just like, Ichabod. And it's just like, oh man, you really, really had a presence. And he was one of the coolest, hardest guys on the planet.
Mate, and the fact that he's just there though, he's lording over Ichabod, and then he's got Alan, what's his name? Alan Armstrong, who as well, by the way, he's a great bad guy. Alan Armstrong, you know who I'm talking about? The wee guy sits next to him and he's like,
baggy eye.
Aye, baggy eye, right? Those two together.
Baggy eye Joe.
Baggy eye. It had to be for Baggy Eye Joe.
I got a long time ago.
Aye. But together, those two are quite a force to be reckoned with. And it almost seems like he's got to plead his case to do the best job he possibly can, which is what leads him to, he kind of, Christopher Lee says, you go to Sleepy Hollow where, bodies have been found when nae heed. So we're going to see what that's all about. So it sets Ichabod on his path to Sleepy Hollow, if I'm not mistaken.
So I genuinely thought you were going to play a clip there.
No,
it sounded like you were building up to playing a clip. You normally don't build up to me saying something.
No, well, I thought
something like
that. No, so Ichabod heads for Sleepy Hollow, and he's kind of just
heads for it.
And all the way through the movie, we do kind of see him having these flashbacks to his mother, which you don't know. You kind of assume is his mum at the time. It's just wee flashbacks that do lead up to the crescendo, so to speak, towards the end of the movie. But you kind of see him sitting there, and he's very much a practical kind of guy. So he's got the illusion of the bird and the cage, and he's twisting the string to make it look like it. So this tells me he's a kind of guy that questions everything. He's the kind of guy that wants to get like actual source material. So this is why I think it's really good that his character's like Headless Horseman, a ghost. Are you crazy? It needs to be living flesh. He abandons everything from religion. We find out again why he's abandoned religion, but he's the kind of guy that's practical and it's dotting the I's and crossing the T's.
I mean, he's definitely a man of science. He's not going to this wee town expecting to find an apparition that's killing people. He's expecting to find a killer. In fact, there's at one point where I really did laugh out loud was where he'd been doing a bit of investigating, right? And obviously there's been numerous bodies, right? Numerous bodies with the heads cut off and the heads taken away. And he stands in front of everybody and goes, "We are dealing with a madman." It's like, nay, shit. He's cutting folks' heads off and fucking stealing them.
There's a bit about that.
That's not the act of a sane human being.
There's more to that, but kind of had me questioning. But I will get to that when we get to that part. So Ichabod obviously is now in Sleepy Hollow, and he heads to Baltus Van Tassel's house, where the story of the Headless Horseman is told to him. He heads this really cool. I mean, they all look pretentious, right, with their wigs and their tea and Bonnie Prince Charles looking attire.
It's
right.
It's a really colourful kind of cast of characters. They almost look cartoonish at times.
Right, but mate, that cast that's in there already. I mean, you've got Richard Griffiths, right, who is Harry Potter's uncle. He was also in The Borrowers, if I remember correctly. Was he not in The Borrowers? He was, eh?
I only seen that once. I hated it.
Michael Gambon, right? So we've got Christopher Lee and Michael Gambon in the same movie. So we've got essentially Dumbledore there as well, right? That part where Johnny Depp comes in, and because a conversation now is going to be had among the men, the women have to leave the room. Did you notice that? Like the boys are going to talk. And I don't think that was, we've got something to talk about that you can't see or be privy to, right? But it was more, the men are talking, so leave. Did you see that? And I don't think that's a wrong thing to do, because it was a period of time where that was definitely a thing. Another really, really big cast member for me. And every time he spoke, I was like, oh, you know who that is, right?
Michael Gough?
No, Ian McDiarmid.
Sorry, I didn't forget about him. Sorry,
but, he could have ended this full movie, mate. The minute a Headless Horseman comes, galloping down, the limited power, it would have been over, mate. Over like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you are rubbing off me a wee bit, because I was watching that and I went, oh, that's the Emperor for Star Wars, which I probably wouldn't have noticed if it wasn't for this podcast. So
just a bit, man.
Well done. But again, Michael Gough as well. I was watching it. I was going, who is that? Who's that old guy? I recognise him. I really recognise that old guy.
Alfred.
Yeah. I know. I was getting to that.
Oh, how does that feel?
It's annoying, isn't it?
It fucking is.
Anyway, I understand you've got a clip to play.
I don't. So why don't you just click your pen more while we wait? Well, I thought you were saying something there.
No.
It's
annoying, isn't it?
Well, you don't have any clips. In fact, you should have clips. Hashtag give JMac clips. If I've got a few clips that I could play.
That took me a second.
I love that one motion, and that is your motion, and I need to see that live, essentially on stage with a microphone. For anyone that doesn't know what I'm talking about,
I might do that at some point, just live on stage.
I would scream. Right? But you can check out what I'm talking about here on our Instagram and Facebook stories. Get it while it's there, because it'll be gone. So at this part, this is where Ichabod first hears about the story, and it gives us, the viewers, a chance to see the story of the Headless Horseman. So he essentially was a soldier back in the day. Now, I don't know why they built a soldier like that, right? I don't know. He was probably an orphan and was raised to hate, right? Because he sharpened his teeth like that, to the point where it's like he's taking chunks at you. That's the purpose. He ain't sharpened his teeth like that to have venison, right? That's for chopping folk. And by the way, did you know, this is just apparently the reason Christopher Walken has no lines is because he couldn't talk while he had those teeth in his mouth. Was that all right?
Let's see.
You knew. No, don't do that. Let's no dance about it. Let's have it here. I mean, you knew how I was trying to be, right?
Because you just said Christopher Walken.
I would swear at you right now, but I don't want to get demonetized. So you are lucky. You are lucky. You're lucky I can't swear, because I had some for you. I had some.
I'm looking for my head.
You try to be Arnie on this podcast. Huh?
That's Arnie.
Read this one, J-Mac.
I shall, because I realised I can get it in full screen now. I don't need to do that. So this is from Donna Anderson, and it says, history can't be cancelled, and all the snowflakes need to realise that. If everything that offends is removed or cancelled, then what do we have to learn from? It's political correctness gone mad, and I, for one, think some folk just need to get the fudge off.
Fuck yeah!
couldn't have said it better myself, even though I said it myself.
I absolutely agree with you there, Donna Anderson. So good job we still got VHSs and DVDs, so when they cancel it on Disney Plus and stuff, we can still go back and watch it.
Do you know when it really started happening was when they replaced the guns in ET with walkie-talkies. That's when it really started happening. And actually South Park done a whole bit on it. They were like, it's like, come and see the new version of ET, where we've replaced all the guns with walkie-talkies. Right, and it was a whole kind of joke. And
Walkie-talkies.
It was walkie-talkies. That's it. And then
I made that up. I
that's
didn't know that was the thing.
Brilliant. Walkie-talkies. That's great. And then later on in the same episode, they're like, come and see the re-release of Saving Private Ryan, where we've replaced all the guns with walkie-talkies. And they're literally shooting each other with walkie-talkies.
God, screw that.
But that's where it started. That's where it started.
I can imagine. So we're seeing the origin story of the Headless Horseman. At this point, he's not a Headless Horseman, he's just a horseman. And he's fighting all the New Yorkers. I mean, the way to believe that Sleepy Hollow's in New York, it must be. It's close by. It was a carriage ride away.
Can I just say something about the name of the town?
Mm-hmm.
Sleepy Hollow, right? Like, see if you don't want horrible shit to happen, don't name your town something creepy.
I know.
Do you know, it's like, where do you live? Sleepy Hollow. Whoa. It's like, what about you? I live in Spine Chillington.
I know.
You're fucked on all then, mate.
I know. And we're about to move there. Oh, cool. Yeah, 36 families before us have died, but yeah, we're just moving in the other day.
I've just sold up in Armadale. Where are you going? Broken Bonington.
Broken Bonington.
It's like, just stop moving to creepy places, right? It's the only way to stop these things from happening.
Residence 1, Heatherdown. Broken Bonington.
No, that's Ligament Snappington.
Aye. So we've seen the Headless Horseman is now, he's on foot. Something's happened. Something's gone awry, and he's running away from the army. Right? We don't know much about him. He's running away. They're shooting at him. He stops. He starts fighting. Then he runs away again, and he approaches two little girls. To which one kind of puts a spanner in the works.
I actually laughed at that. I was like, you wee bitch.
He's like, yes. Shh. And she had one job. She snaps a twig and they're like, there he's. And then they essentially do him in, rip his head off and bury him. And that's the story of the Headless Horseman. Now, when we go back to
his head off with his own sword.
I know, it's insult to injury. Yeah. So they do that. They bury him with the sword marking where his grave is, essentially. And we go back, and Johnny Depp's spilling his wee saucer, cup of tea, all over his saucer. And he's like, yeah, rubbish, a lot of rubbish. They give him a wee book, and then essentially goes home for the night to rest up. But he's introduced, obviously, to the characters, and the main characters in Sleepy Hollow, and this kind of sets off the story to progress. So now they've kind of got a bit of kinship between each other, would you say?
Would I say what?
That they've got a bit of a kinship now at this point. They're associated with each other. They accept them into the fold.
With regards to the town.
You thought I was playing a clip again?
You just thrown something at me that I don't know how to catch. What the fuck?
I say, would you say that they were more aligned with each other now? That they're something of a kinship after their meeting up at the old Fantastic place.
It's one of these weird situations where normally with these films you've got more of an outsider coming in. It takes ages for the people in the town to warm to the outsider. In this case, it's the other way around. I find it takes ages for him to warm to the townspeople, which is really uncommon. And I quite like the way that's done. You don't see it too often. And then, in fact, no, I'm not going to talk about this scene because it's probably going to come up.
Look at you, man! Look at you. So the next scene is essentially the death of Jonathan Masbeth. This is where we first get to see the Horseman. So he's, and here's the thing as well. I take it that the Horseman only comes at night, and that's true, isn't it? It must be part of the spell. Spoiler alert.
Sorry.
So we've got one person, Jonathan Masbeth. He's in his wee gun tower, which is essentially the entrance to Sleepy Hollow, and it's quite a cool wee visual, isn't it? It almost is Game of Thrones-esque. They probably borrowed from this, where you're looking at the forest above, kind of where he's head out with his gun, and there's lanterns all lit and then the smoke kind of comes. Well, when they say smoke, it's mist, right? And they all go out like it's almost like a curse, and then you hear it, the gallop, and the horse kind of. And I'm not doing it again. I'm not doing it again. I'm not doing
You
it
knew
again.
I was going. You knew I was going to ask you.
Fuck off.
Thing is, I don't know anybody that can do a good horse impression. You know, it's a very hard one to do. In fact, I can't even do sheep.
I figured a sheep. I figured out sheep. I know I can speak sheep, and the reason I know this is because you don't say "ba," right? They go at.
It's like they're going, "Hey, you
That's
did."
essentially what it is, and I know it works because I've gone up to a flock of sheep and been like, "Eh!" and they do it back. So I'm like, don't know what I'm saying, but they get it. They feel me.
They probably think you're asking them to go for a night out or something, and then you just walk away and you're just raging. I'm glad you can't do sheep, Jay.
Well, he can do sheep. He just can't speak sheep. Boom. John Kavanagh Harn says, "Hi guys, how's things? Just saw you were live." Bah! Even he speaks sheep. We're doing good, John. Nice to have you in the show tonight. So as I says there, Jonathan Masbeth, right? Not speaking sheep, sitting there, gun out. The horseman appears. When he sees it's the horseman, he craps himself and runs towards where the horseman just come from.
That's what we call good old-fashioned movie logic. I mean,
It's like
most movies wouldn't happen if people just made rational decisions. Most movies wouldn't happen. It's just
I know.
That's
I know.
fact. That's
Thing
fact.
is, though,
That's why everybody runs up the stairs when there's a killer.
I've just figured it out. I've just figured it out. I figured it out. Right. This is why I ran that very way. So the horseman comes from the entrance, right, which obviously is Jonathan's exit. He comes into the Sleepy Hollow area where Jonathan has to come out the back of his wee hut. Right. So as he comes round to the entrance of the hut, Jonathan exits the hut, runs round the wee chalet, right, and back up to the entrance, which is why the horseman's now behind him, and he's now running the way that the horseman came.
And that just reminds me, we need to play a game of Dead by Daylight at some point soon. It was like an American football coach's play-by-play of a Dead by Daylight scenario. You come down here, you come round the back, you come out front.
He gonna chase you.
He gonna chase you. You're on foot. He's on a horse. He's gonna catch you.
Oh, he'll catch you. It's just a matter of when.
Every second you add to your life is a second worth having, buddy.
He can't breathe. Can he play? He can't even move. Can he play?
I tell you what, you should listen to me. Because I'm so successful at this sport that I'm coaching high school football. Oh, shit.
Yeah,
I'm a failure.
That took a dark turn. Darker than the turn that Jonathan Masbeth never took. Because think about this logically, right? This is where I'm like, wouldn't it be me? You caught Jonathan Masbeth, right? You've essentially bastardized his child. But wouldn't get me. Do you know why? You're in the woods. There's one path. You're running. There's a horse behind you. Ever thought of just running left straight through the trees? How hard is it for a horse to run through a big stack of trees?
Can he do that? You can't do that because
how would he get you?
You've got to keep off the moors, stick to the road. Best of luck.
No.
Some people might know what that was.
This isn't American Werewolf in London. This is Sleepy Hollow.
You're some people.
You get me? This is for this. I think Jonathan Masbeth would have been all right. The horseman would have to have got off his horse. Would have to slow down because he was coming at some speed, by the way. Don't know how it took him that long to catch Jonathan in the first place, right? He's coming at some speed. If he was to have to stop to go, oh no, he's way through the trees, he'd have to get on his feet and then run, at which point Jonathan's probably already away. You could outrun the horseman. Just keep running. And his horse wouldn't come through the trees because it's hard for a horse to go through the trees. Or at least if it did, it would come at less of speed.
That is true.
So, Jonathan,
even just run in and out of the trees, run back and forward. But the thing is,
catch me.
The problem is you're going to get tired before the horseman does because he doesn't get tired.
That's true. And he also he finds ways, as we see later on. He finds crafty ways to get at you. So
that's a word
chances
that's
are-
not used enough.
No.
You try
I
to
think-
bring back hashtag bring back the craft.
The thing is, I think Jonathan knew. I'm done. It's just a matter of when. And that's why I ran like mad. Gets his seed slice staff, and that's kind of the last thing we see until we hear the whole, "There's been a murder! The horseman strikes again!"
Yeah. At which point we get to meet his kid,
Mm-hmm.
who I genuinely thought that it was Tim Burton's son because he looks like Tim Burton. And I thought, I'm going to IMDb that shit because that looks like Tim Burton. I bet his name's Burton. It's no, it's not. But another reason I thought it was Tim Burton's son was because that boy was such a bad actor that I thought the only reason he's in this film is because he's related to Tim Burton. That was my opinion of that guy. I can't even remember his name, but yeah.
Aye, well, we do kind of the scene from after that is essentially when we see the burial, but let's not skip over our first meeting with the Headless Horseman. This is the first time you actually see the Horseman. As you said earlier, J-Mac, he is played by Ray Park, which I think is phenomenal because I think anything with Ray Park, I've met Ray Park, anything with him in it is just going to be absolutely ace. This is Darth Maul. This is Toad. This is a guy that's done stunts for everything. As you can see there, the wee blue hood over him. There he is, fully clothed.
Was he a stunt double for Lloyd Christmas at some point? What the fuck is that haircut? I mean, that's not for the film either because he's wearing a blue mask. What is with his hair?
Well, let me just say this to you. I wish I had put the picture of you up that I've got of you with your hair back when you were younger, and that would just illustrate that's what was up with his hair.
I wasn't that much younger, to be fair.
We all go through stages, man. Let him have his thing. He probably thought
at that point, Ray Park was still well into fucking Oasis.
Baby, I'm gonna be the one that chases you.
And after all, your turn.
I've got a horse. So Ray Park plays essentially is the Headless Horseman when he doesn't have a head. This is pre-Christopher Walken Headless Horseman, and Ray Park, man, I've seen it live. He grabs lightsaber, gives up the guy's an insane martial artist. He's up there, and he's Darth Maul. So this guy, essentially, Darth Maul and Headless Horseman, the same guy.
He's obviously one of the Monopoly events alumni. Do you know what I mean? He's been to quite a few of their conventions and stuff like that. And if I'd known that he was the Headless Horseman for this film, I might have been more inclined to, just meet him because I'm not a big Star Wars fan. Do you know how hard it is to not like football or Star Wars? That's a hard life, by the way. Mm-hmm. It's not an easy time because constantly you get people going like that. Mm-hmm.
Thing is, you could have met him, just not a Monopoly event because the one we went to that he was supposed to be at, he didn't show up. So, even if you wanted to,
Monopoly gave him a backhander. So don't go to that one. Come here.
No, I think what happened at this point, he'd done something on Instagram that got him sacked for Star Wars, but that's another episode.
What did he do?
Do you not know?
No. Of course I don't. I'm not on Instagram.
I mean, we try to get him on the show all the time. I didn't want him to look back and see us talking about this. I'll tell you on my MySpace.
So what you do is you say, I'll tell you off air after the show.
Essentially what happened was this. His missus, or this is what I read. His missus had been doing something with someone that wasn't him. And this is his wife. Something I can't exactly think what it was.
Swing ball?
It was something sexual.
You've been playing swing ball with my missus?
And I don't know how, but it ended up on his phone, the image, and he shared it to Instagram to be like, oh well. And then Disney were like, "Ken, how you were going to be Darth Maul in the new Obi-Wan series, not us. No anymore." No.
See
But
that?
back-
I hate that. I hate that shit. I hate that shit. Why? Why?
Just
Why not give him a job? Because of that.
Because kids will essentially go online and see that, and
That's
they'll relate
that's
that.
Instagram's fucking fault.
I
That's
don't know. I
instant-
can understand it, but I'm all for Team Ray Park, and I want him on the Disney side of things when it comes to Star Wars. But look at this as well. He's the second actor in this movie from Star Wars. He's actually the apprentice. He was the Emperor's apprentice.
Do you
So
know?
they worked directly together. Exactly. So progressing with the show, the by the graveside of, now this is one thing I didn't get. Tell me if you picked up on this as well, right? So you see Magistrate Phillips. Aye, it's just spelt funny back then. So Magistrate Phillips is the Richard Griffiths character, right? He goes to Johnny Depp, there are 4 graves, but 5 dead folk.
Yeah.
Right? And he goes and digs up all 4 graves. And then he's like, And then he operates on the Widow Winship. And then he comes in and he's like, "There's a madman! She was with child." Like, wait a minute. Could you have not just gone to Richard Griffiths and gone, "Explain," and save you having to like rip out 5 corpses for the grand? Could you not
Yes,
just tell me, elaborate?
Yes and no, because you're always going to get somebody that's going to ask for proof.
I think no, but
Yeah, prove it. Fuck's sake!
no,
If I'd known you were going to say that, I'd have dug them up.
it'd be so much easier for him to go. So he's like, "She was with child," and at this point, you've got that man in the movie that we shall not mention. You've got him kind of giving him the evil stare, and he's like, "Oh, I need to go." Right? Why not just go? What did you mean?
By the way,
Explain.
how much does Jeffrey Jones look just like he's out of that time period?
Aye.
Do you know
But
he's a bit of an ugly prick, eh? And
Always
that's what
has been,
folk
man.
looked like back then. He looks like a portrait of anybody for 1785.
He was quite sound in Beetlejuice. He was kind of just easygoing in Beetlejuice, but I suppose what he was doing when he was no on Beetlejuice, kind of contradicts. You get what I mean?
That's the thing, though. It's like everybody thinks when they watch Beetlejuice that he's the baddie. It's no, it's Kevin's mom.
Essentially. So the mad thing. We are now kind of seeing these bodies being dug up. And
Sorry. I actually had something to say about that part when they examine the body. That was actually my memorable scene that I've taken note of, and I'm just going to put it out there now because it is pretty funny. Because he walks in with the body, this headless woman, and he's like, "Clear the table, we have to operate." And he's like, "Operate? She's dead." I nodded at myself. My wife's looking at me like that. Wasn't it that funny? Like, I think I might be an idiot.
Do you not think it was a little insinuated as well that he was going to do mortar than operate?
What do you mean?
Like, operate, she's dead. And then he's like, he just kind of shoos everybody. I don't know if it was like a hidden insinuation there that it seemed like he was going to do more in there.
Something about Jeffrey Jones about it.
Right, because the thing is, Ichabod wasn't an attractive guy. We have to remember this. Johnny Depp brought to Ichabod what he wasn't. He's not what Ichabod looks like. He's not dashing. He's not any of these things. Even Christina Ricci, when she got the part, she was like, "It is strange that what I've read and what Ichabod is. We all know that Johnny Depp's not ugly, and yet here he is playing Ichabod, who I've known upon reading as an ugly male." And he, in response, was like, "I don't know if I can get the whole love interest thing with Christina Ricci because I've known her since she was 9." But I had to get into the role, as all actors do.
I mean, I can imagine
Just playing a role.
I can imagine it as a bit awkward, though. I mean, it's I don't know. It's one of these unwritten rules. Do you know? It's just like, it's a bit icky, a bit Ichabod.
But icky. I like that. I like that. So when we progress from that scene, Katrina now takes Ichabod after he wakes up the next day, cleaned up of all the blood. She takes him out to the old cottage. She talks about when she was poor. She sees the archer, which is a foreshadow for what comes up at the end of the movie. She sees the archer in the fireplace, and she talks about what it was like to grow up poor and how her mum was a bit of a white witch, which kind of triggers again memories to his own mother being a white witch. You recall that part?
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of just sets. I think that part was necessary for what comes later in the movie. It kind of almost feels like filler, but again, it progresses the. How do you feel? Do you feel that those two were quite like the chemistry between them and their characters? Could you buy it?
No.
No.
Not. And see, this is where it's funny. If you look at the way they look, right? In any other kind of circumstance, in any other movie, it might have worked. But it was too dark a movie for a love interest to even be a fucking thing. I think this film does a lot of that. This film, it really does kind of dive into the old Hollywood feel quite a lot, with regards to unnecessary love stories and unnecessary murder mystery that
It's
really is. I mean, this is a film about the Headless Horseman. That's all it has to be entertaining. But this film adds so much more. But I think it's basically, I don't know if it's homage or parody, as we were talking about earlier on. I don't know if it's homage or parody to the movies from the 50s, 60s, and 70s of this type that just throw in so much ridiculous stuff for reasons that are beyond me. It could have been to try and appeal to wider audiences. Like if it's a horror film, horror films maybe back then it was men that went to see them, but they think, like, right, if we throw in a love interest, women will want to come and see them. And then it's like, oh, if we put in some murder mystery stuff, older people will want to come and see them. And I think there's a lot of that going on in this film. And it's at the point where you do wonder, it's like, is this deliberate? Is it a piss take? Is it just, are you supposed to laugh at all the Scooby-Doo shit that's going on? Or is this actually part of the movie? Because I think a lot of it is pretty Scooby-Doo.
It is. I like that. I like it you said that.
That's what I mean. But for me, it totally added to the fun because I was laughing at all this. These are played out completely serious. The scenes are serious, but I was laughing. And it's because of that. It's because I think I get it. I think I get what the film was doing. I think it was as a movie. It's paying homage and taking the piss at the same time. And I think that's possibly why this love interest was even there to start with.
I don't get the taking piss part. I kind of felt like I could take it seriously with the romance. No, so much. I get what you say completely. It is a very much Sherlock Holmes. It's Tim Burton's Sherlock Holmes, isn't it?
Aye. Is it? That's exactly what I'm saying though. It's like, oh, so and so is doing such and such. Oh, you must be that guy. Hang on a minute. We've got 40 minutes to go in this film. Something else is going to happen. That's how this film worked, and I think I genuinely think it's both parody and homage.
Probably. I think it's whatever way you look at it. Really, I think there's enough there for the viewer to kind of make their own mind up. Essentially,
here's the funny thing. I remember not watching Sleepy Hollow when it came out. I waited a few years because I'm sure it was actually my brother. I'm sure my brother had told me that it was boring, so I never bothered with it. I was like, oh well, fuck it. And then I just happened to watch it at some point. I was like, it's definitely not boring. It's not a boring film.
No, I didn't find it boring at all.
It does keep you engaged. I mean, like I said, certain things like the love interest doesn't really need it, but I don't know. It's like I refer to my previous statement.
The scene after that, we essentially see the magistrate Phillips. This is what
it does have an E at the end for no reason whatsoever.
I know, right? Phillips. We're gonna call him Phillips, right? So,
all right, Phillips. Sounds like a nice lolly. I guess a Phillips.
he's getting out of town. He's getting out of Dodge, and he's got his wee cross there, his wee talisman that protects him from the the horseman, apparently. Now, this is the opportune moment for him to answer questions that Johnny Depp should have asked him in the graveyard, where he essentially planted the seed. But no, we've got to ask him right before he dies. so Johnny Depp's like, what's going on? And he's like, I'm leaving town, etc. Blah, blah, blah. Then it happens. Horseman comes and cuts his head clean off, man. The thing is, right?
Did you laugh? Did you laugh?
I never laughed this time watching it, but as a kid.
Thanks very much. Right, so what that's done is it made me feel really childish for laughing when his head spun round before it fell off.
Do you know how they done that? Tim Burton wanted that to be a thing. So what happened was, so obviously we know it's not his head; it's a prosthetic head, right? It's
I fucking hope so. How much am I getting for this film again?
We'll look after your family.
So he's just going to ride out of the woods, yeah? He's just going to cut your head off. Have I got a fucking medical plan with this thing?
So what happened, right? Tim Burton actually got this cool wee rotating thing. So they put this prosthetic head on a rotator thing. I'm giving you like the gist of it. They put it on a rotator thing that makes it just rotate, right? And do you ever remember those wee things you used to get where there'd be a string under it? And when you pull the string, the body will stand up. Yeah, and then you let it go and it just crumples. Yeah. So they had like a mechanism of that, right? That they put it on. So when the horseman comes and cuts, the head spins like twice and then would fall off. And the rest of it is almost like you let that string go and the body went down like this. And it was mechanically engineered to go like this and fall down. So that's how they done that. Again, budget. Big budget.
There's $1 million.
Aye. And what's the chances, right? You know, like you go to taste a bit of pasta, see if it's cooked right, and it comes up, and you're like, "Hoo, hoo, hoo, hoo," right? Because it's burning, right? Is that not essentially what happens to his head? Johnny Depp's like, "Get away from me!" And the head just follows him down the hill and lands at his crotch. And he's like, "No!"
I'd love to know how you compared that to eating pasta.
Well, it's not eating pasta; it's the pasta when it comes out the pot and it's too hot. So you're like, and it goes. You're like trying to just avoid the burn. That's what he was doing.
Aye, I mean, it's I couldn't imagine being in that situation, having a head rolling towards me. Like, what would you do, and where would you go?
Well, it lands at his crotch, and this was the first time I was like, because the horseman then swings past on his horse.
Aye, horses are well known for swinging.
He swings past on his horse and stabs clean through the skull and pulls the head away with him.
That was quite rank.
It was quite grim. Like, no, it was when you said to me, "Should I let my son watch this?" It was that scene. I thought, probably no.
No, see that wasn't it for me. But the image of Christopher Walken as the Headless Horseman for me was quite creepy, like with the sharpened teeth and everything. And then there's the witch scene. That witch scene would have fucked him up.
Mate.
I can imagine. I mean, even watching the trailer at the start, even it happened and I'd forgotten about it. Then
that was the proper jump scare of that movie. Like I'm like, screw the horseman, get me the hell away from her.
There's something about scary women, man. There really is. There's something about the image of like a kind of dead, decomposed. You know, like films like The Ring and The Grudge and stuff like that. It really taps into something. I don't know if it might just be in the male mind.
I mean, she wasn't dead. She was just living in
I know, but she fucking might as well be with the state of her. She looked like
she was, but then
remember Arachnophobia?
Aye.
She looked like one of the coffin bodies. Do you know what I mean? She'd been bled dry by these spiders. That's what she looked like. But actually, the whole eyeballs coming out and all that, I was like, what the fuck are they doing?
You must go to the blah blah blah. Blah, 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 blah.
I was like, ah!
It's like, settle down, love.
Want a cuppa? Put a kettle on.
We've got a shrimp on the barbie.
Fuck you saying, dickhead. It was scary, man. It was scary. So he's dead, right? And now they're all
back to it. He's dead.
That's how you transition. That's how you transition.
Nice. So he's dead.
Aye, so he's dead now, and the horseman is back in his tree. This is the first time that we find that he comes from a tree, because then they go out a wee walk and they see this big ass tree that is what's killing folk. He is not the tree. So he
Can I just say that scene, this particular scene where they've figured out that the tree is the resting place of the Headless Horseman, and I don't know why, but if I knew that, I'd be like, I'm not going to fucking near it. But anyway, they go to it and start chopping into the roots, and there's something about the image of the blood coming out of the roots of the tree that is really fucking horrible. I don't know why. I don't know why. But I'd love to show it to vegans to make them fucking feel bad.
That's it. You're on the spot.
What about vegans? I'm not going to do it. That's a whole other podcast. The thing is
it though? Is it even a podcast?
It's a full podcast. It's a series.
J-Mac presents.
J-Mac presents how to get cancelled in one fucking go.
So the cool thing is, once they chop down this tree, they rip like a patch of the tree off, almost like it's a door, and you see all these
heads.
Yeah, that don't seem to have decomposed at all in the whole time that they've all been collected and put.
But I think that's at that point they're in another realm. You know, and once those roots close over again, that's a different realm. So
I like
the
that.
rules,
I like
the rules of the earth don't apply anymore, in my humble opinion.
Do you hear the sound when that wee trap door gets ripped off a tree? Oh! Like there's a sound of a guy going, oh! When that root gets put. Have you heard it?
That was probably Ichabod. Oh, you can.
You can. That's a slice of ham. I said a slice of hamstring.
Oh, you can. That's a slice of feed.
Oh, I got that's a slice of forehead. Oh man, Scottish memes. You have to remember, a lot of people watching this are from the US of A.
Do you know what's funny is I think we're an hour and 20 minutes into the podcast, and I think we've covered about 40 minutes of the film.
Aye.
So we're in for a Joe Rogan style long haul here, folks.
That all depends. So they then go up on top of the tree, which is where there's a burial site, and he's like, "That it's oh, you got the soil's moist." The soil's kind of moist, and they're like, "Give us a shovel." Good job, someone packed a shovel on an evening walk.
So just in case we have to dig something up or bury someone, let's take a fucking spade
and an axe.
Man, it was the 1700s. That's just what happened.
they then dig up a full grave, like was that 7 feet deep or something like that, with
6.
no. Mate, would you know look far worse than that? I don't know, maybe 7 feet for this one, because this was a deep one. It was right in a tree and everything.
A deep dive.
But here's nothing, right? You see any of those roots of that tree in that grave? No? No roots?
No.
No,
It was,
no roots. No roots on that side of the tree.
It was rootless. It was
Right.
a rootless burial.
And when you see that, like, see me, sometimes I bath the kids, I come sit down in their sweat. How good does Johnny Depp look after just digging a 6 feet hole?
But again, I think this is it's an homage to these types of movies for back then. People like, mate, I sweat after hoovering. You know what I mean? You'll have done the same, like going up and down the stairs, blah blah blah. Even at my new job, I have to do a bit of kind of light housekeeping, and it does make you sweat. And in these old films, people are like that. Even in Beetlejuice, you actually had it in Beetlejuice as well. They had to dig down into the table to release Beetlejuice, and not one of them broke an ounce of sweat. It's
Mate,
just
there's not even any dirt on Johnny Depp.
it's just movie logic, man. Movie logic.
So they see the headless horseman headless. He must like tunnel his way through the tree, or this is what I'm talking about, right? So his corpse is there with no head. Do you think his corpse reanimates and he comes through the tree, or from that other dimension you mentioned? From the other day thing you mentioned.
Mentioned.
Do you think the horseman comes as an apparition from another dimension and the corpse still stays there because it's almost like a conjuring?
Like you said, it's. In fact, I think you said both. I think you said it was both an apparition and a reanimated corpse. I think those are two very different things. I think he's like he's like an apparition with the power of a reanimated corpse, and that's just fucking weird.
Don't you mean a Rihanna permission?
Rihanna permission? Rihanna permission? something Chris Brown never asked for. Fucking hell.
God dang.
So I think it comes from hell. It does. That tree root is a portal to hell.
The root of all evil.
The root of the tree root of all evil. Oh, I went the wrong way. Right, let's go again.
Right, so then the next scene,
so much better when we're not recording.
I know. The next scene was actually probably the most grim. This for me was like, right, okay. He has no feelings, there's no remorse, there's nothing. He's coming to get you and he's getting you. He's the boogeyman. That is it. Mate, when he goes in, takes Killian's head clean off, right?
Yep.
The wife's like that, right? We Tommy, we Davy, right?
Opens
Opens up the rug, puts wee Davy under the house, right? Puts the rug back, the horseman walks in. She's like, oh, I wasn't doing anything, I'm just sitting here. And she's like that. The horseman's like that, you wet man. Comes out with an axe, swings it, you see the blood spatter. The head drops. Now this is grim. The head drops, rolls, and looks through the like you can see the eyes through the holes in the floorboards. So this kid can see his mum's head staring down at him as he's shiting it for getting done in his cell. He goes, had one again. A lot of people in this movie had one job. You had one job. His was to shut up. And so was hers. So was hers. Say, fuck, just shut up. None of this would happen. Right? So he had one job to shut up. He didn't shut up. And the horseman's like that. Is that right? Aye. He used his senses. The horseman used his ears. The headless horseman used his ears.
Aye, that's a bit weird.
Aye. So then he went and smashed up the ground, pulled out wee Davy, leathered him and all. Right? Mate, he killed kids. Now you can what I say about a bad guy, right?
Oh, mate. Sorry, it's about to happen live on air.
What is?
You ready?
Aye. What's
You ready?
this? I'm ready. wait. What the hell?
I had to give you at least one.
Why?
Because you laughing makes me laugh.
I'm sorry. Mate, you put your mouth on that thing. Oh no. Oh no. Oh man. Mate, you used a Shure mic as a fart mic. You need to have your own fart mic.
It's a sharp mic.
Too much info. Oh my god, man. I just saw the emotions, the Facebook emotions. I can see when people are live responding to what we're doing, and there's about 5 extra laughing faces now on.
So the best content we can give is me farting into the fucking mic. I think at this point, just stop. Just stop.
Wait, you give me crap, no pun intended. You give me crap about using your fart videos on our stories, and yet here you are, man, live and in living colour.
I just knew it was going to be a good one, so.
So in relation to that fart, right, something that smells worse, the 3 bodies of the guys that just got done in that scene. Wee Davy got his head cut off and all. I mean, we don't really see him get his head cut off, but wee Davy got his head cut clean off. So we know that.
I wonder if there ever was the scene filmed where you see the kid die, or if it was just something even Tim Burton wouldn't touch.
I can't see it happening.
But I wish he would stick to this sort of stuff. I wish he would stick to doing kind of dark horror, because I think his dark family movies don't work. That's just my opinion. I'm not a big fan of Tim Burton's family films. I like Batman. I like this. Am I the biggest fan of Edward Scissorhands? Nah, not really. And he's Alice in Wonderland's, they can take a flying fuck to themselves. Not really interested. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, no, they don't work as well as this did. And I think he should stick to this sort of thing. And Nightmare on Elm Street, A Nightmare Before Christmas. We watched that as a family before Christmas, and it's actually crap. It is actually crap. All of us were in agreement when it was finished. We were like, "Is that it?" So yeah, he should stick to this.
Well, see, we know he cuts off wee Davy's head, because as he's leaving the house before he's ambushed, you see him. What kind of apparition carries a bag? Now, he was obviously instructed to kill the three of them, which is like, oh, that's a bit harsh. All because of what? Because he was a witness to something. You have to kill his whole family.
Right. This is a White Witch Mafia.
Right? So the horseman, who's like the scariest thing ever, carries a wee man bag, puts the head, you see him like zip it up. Like, that's all three heads in there. And as he's trying to leave, Brum then comes at him and tries to do him in, being the hero that he is. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And that's Casper, what's his face?
Casper Van Dien.
Mm-hmm. Who was in Starship Troopers.
Yes.
Aye,
by the way, a very, very promising start to a career for that guy. Start. I'm going to leave it there. Everything he's been in since then has been an absolute pile of shit.
So he comes at the horseman, and this for me, and I think for everyone else, was the part where you're like, I get this now. He keeps trying to take shots at the horseman, who has got no interest in him whatsoever, and leaves. Every time it's like Brom takes a swing at the horseman will deflect it, knock him down, and then leave. And then he jumps back at the horseman. He's like Shaggy Doo, let me at him. And each time the horseman's
Scrappy Doo.
What did I say?
Shaggy.
Did I say Shaggy? Oh, I meant Scrappy. You knew this. But then you see the clocks turning, and Johnny Depp as well. He's like, he's figuring it out in real time, same as we are.
Like he even tells him, it's like, stop it. He's not interested in you.
Mm-hmm.
But what was really clever is the fact that he didn't cut his head off.
I know, because he
cut him straight in half. The best death in the whole film, by the way.
He gets the Darth Maul treatment. Mate, Darth Maul cut someone else in half. Heather Dow at home listening via her couch. I agree, to be honest. I think Tim Burton is better at this stuff than family stuff. They are just a bit wired. I spelled that wrong. I think she means weird.
Bring that up again.
It's gone.
Bring it up.
It said wired, trust me.
Did it?
Aye. So it's essentially a triple threat. It's gone. Look, it's not there anymore. It's away. So the triple threat ensues. It's almost like a triple threat. Johnny Depp's character Ichabod is trying to stop Brom from getting done in, while Bron's trying to attack the Headless Horseman. And what happens is Johnny Depp gets a wee cut into the shoulder and lifted with it, mate.
Mm-hmm.
Dropped on the ground, and then he cuts Brom in half. Kind of had it coming, you get it?
Aye, he was literally asking for it. He was told, "Fucking leave it alone." He's like that kind of that guy that whenever he invites you for a night out, you never want to go because you know he's just going to get you in shit that you've got nothing to do with. That's Brom. And luckily enough, this time it was him that got it. And you're like, oh well, fuck him. I'll explain it to his missus in the morning.
I'll have to. Which he actually doesn't. He explains it to Christina in the morning when he's kind of wakes and Christina's going through his stuff and all that. And he's got his wee sore bit and they're like, oh, you're going to have a wee bit of an infection. He's like, I figured it out. I figured it out. And this is where we learn that whoever controls the head of the horseman is the one that's doing the bidding, that the horseman doesn't kill at random. He's actually here to do you in because he's been told to. He's the debt collector almost. And by debt, I mean the head collector. Comes to take your head. He does not kill at random. This then puts Johnny Depp back to sleep. And this is where he's confronted by the memory of his mother getting done in. And long story short, in that kind of scene, his dad, who's almost Christopher Lee-like, is like, oh, that's my wife, but I can see her doing witchcraft. And he's like proper man of the cloth and getting it all the patter. You can't be doing that stuff. She was just a hippie, but he thought she was a bit of a witch. This was back in the day when witches were burning them. Takes her away because she dances about the garden and draws wee symbols and all that. She was just into nature. Turns out she was into nature. He was like, nah, can't be having this. Puts her on a big iron thing that's got tons of spikes, slams it shut on her, killing her. And then Johnny Depp's like, oh no. I mean, he had a lot of torture devices for just being somebody's dad and a priest, right? Each to their own. At this point, Johnny Depp goes back, looks through all these books, sees the New Will and Testament. Turns out that Van Garrett actually got with the widow and got married to.
Is it no? I'm sure it's Van Tassel.
No. It was Van Garrett, wasn't it? Because no, it's Van Garrett because the Tassel is actually the next of kin. And she gains to gain everything through Van Tassel, but not if he marries someone else, then the next of kin is void. So all that marrying into wealth meant nothing. You get me? Which is why Van Garrett gets killed right at the start.
This is a way overly complicated storyline for a stupid film about a fucking headless horseman. Do you know what I mean? This is exactly what I was talking about earlier on. This is where you have to look at this and go, is this film serious? Like with the amount of twists and turns and daft murder mystery and it was her, it was him, it was her, it was him.
I like it. The thing is,
I'm not saying I didn't like it, but I think it was completely deliberate. I think it was done as an homage to these older films that had to have a human explanation as to why supernatural stuff was happening. Whereas I like it when supernatural stuff just happens because it's supernatural.
But there was no enough story. There was no enough twists and turns.
I don't care. It's like if I'm going to watch a film about a headless horseman, I just want to see a headless horseman cutting people up, and then there's got to be a hero. That's true. There has to be a hero. But all this stuff,
the best of all worlds.
This all this stuff from here on in is very much an homage to the older Hollywood movies.
Aye. So Van Garrett essentially dead, and the next of kin is Van Tassel. And this is at this point Johnny Depp's like, it's Van Tassel. He's the one controlling all the strings, pulling all the strings, and trying to kind of kill everybody off to his advantage. At which point he then is like, wait a minute. He goes and checks the body because when he thinks that Van Tassel's done this, Van Tassel comes running towards him. He's like, the horseman killed my missus, Lady Van Tassel. And they're all like, oh, let's get out of here, man. Let's run to the church. Right? They run into the church, all of them. The horseman comes into the town, which I thought, this is class, a wee bit of atmosphere here. What's going on? What's going to happen? Right? And then he throws an axe and it disappears in the holy ground. So he can't go on holy ground. So they're like, we're safe. Then they all start turning on each other because the Emperor gets smacked in the head with a...
You're always going to call him the Emperor, eh?
Who else? Who else is he?
That guy in that film.
His actual name was Dr. Lancaster.
In all fairness, I'd forgotten that as well because he's the Emperor.
Exactly.
Do you know what I couldn't figure out though? Why did they not just open the windows to shoot at him?
To shoot at who?
The Headless Horseman.
They don't really need to shoot him, do they?
Well, that's what they all do in the church.
Aye.
In the church, they all smash all the windows to shoot him instead of just opening them and saving the church a good fucking ton of money.
Movie logic, mate. That's all we can put it down to. So Emperor gets done in. We're going to assume he's dead, right? Because that was a Syrian. Or because they only had a wee bit. Are you peeing?
No, I'm pouring a drink.
I didn't say men can't multitask.
I'm a peeing.
I bet you were peeing, eh? So I was like, is he peeing on the show? It would not surprise me.
I farted on it, might as well pee in it.
And then when we see this is when the horseman gets crafty and he throws a piece of the fence through the window that's tied to a string or a piece of rope. Good on you, horseman, for having rope on you at this time.
Aye, where'd that come from? I never even thought about that.
Right,
But that's the thing. That's the good thing about movies. You don't have to think about these things at the time. The only reason you even thought about that is because we're doing this. It's like if we weren't doing this, you wouldn't think about it. You would just watch it and enjoy it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would like to think anyway. I mean, if I'm wrong, tell me. But
I did think that previous to now, but I've seen it a lot of times, and I think maybe on my first time watching it, I probably wouldn't have thought too much about it. I know I didn't, and I think it's quite really well done how he uses a picket fence to stab him and pulls him clean. Now we know realistically, right? If that was to happen, the fence would have gone through the chest, and then when the horseman pulled it, it'd have just come back out his chest and not destroyed half the wall and pulled him through it. Right? It'd have just come back out his chest and left him in the church.
I think it would have been better if it came all the way through and then kind of just sat, like an anchor. Instead of just coming through and sticking out, which looks better. Like it looks dramatically, it looks better. But if it came all the way through and then he pulled it back and it stuck like that,
yeah,
that would have made more.
Mate, that would have been cool.
It would have made more physical sense, but it's not about that in these movies. You want to see it coming through and it sticks. You're like, it works better cinematically.
You just know that it wouldn't have destroyed the wall pulling him out. It'd have just pulled that straight back through him and left him in the church, right? Agreed.
Mate, I'm pretty sure in the new Fast and the Furious film, John Cena literally puts Vin Diesel's head through the top of a door frame and he doesn't even flinch. Movie logic, this one gets a pass. It gets a pass. So that happens. You see it in the trailer. I mean, this isn't for the film, but you see it in the trailer. You see literally Vin Diesel's head goes through a door frame. You ever felt a fucking door frame?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty hard.
Here's the thing. I know exactly why it didn't hurt him.
Go on then.
Family.
Family in space.
So he's pulled through. He literally rips Dumbledore clean out of the church, across the grass. Right? I mean, you couldn't do it perfectly if you tried. And then his head kind of fits through the wee picket fence where he's pulled the post off it. And he comes back, and one wee wave of that sword, Dumbledore no longer has a head. Takes it away with him. Right? We've now lost Dumbledore. So Johnny Depp's like, well, can he
again?
Right? And he's like, well, wait a minute. If it wasn't him, wait the new. He goes to his missus' house. No, his missus' house. He goes to see the Lady Van Garrett. He checks out the body, looks at the cut on the hand, because remember she cut her into her hand and was getting it all apart and rubbed it over the... Who does that while they're getting done? Some guy's getting mad with her and she cuts her hand and rubs it on him. It's like, oh, whoa. Such a turn on.
This was a long time before AIDS and hepatitis. I think a lot of people did a lot of fucking weird stuff.
Well, here's the thing. So she does that knowing that he could see her. And then she cuts the wound on the home help who she killed. And then cuts her hand to make it look like it's her, that she's dead. She's no dead because Johnny Depp's like, I'm going to do a lot of my science stuff right here. Goes and checks it out and it's like, it started healing. It's not healed. So this cut was made after the body was dead. It can't be her. At which point she shows up and is like, hello, stepdaughter. And Katrina, now I like what they've done here. Rather than like smack Katrina over the head with something, Katrina's like, I thought you were dead. Ah! and that explains that explains how she kind of becomes rendered unconscious.
There's a lot of fainting in this, a lot of fainting in this film, eh?
Johnny
Have
Depp
you
does it
ever-
a few times.
You ever seen somebody faint? It's a gradual thing. It tends to be like kind of, like, but see when you're falling asleep, and you'll be sitting and you think you're awake, but you're like this.
Mm-hmm.
Fainting's pretty much the same. You don't go like this. And again, that is an homage to the old movies. That's how people fainted back then. And again, I think it was really clever. I think it's funny.
And so at this point now, we get another homage. Actually, another homage to these old movies and the Scooby Doo thing. I done all this because the bad guy essentially gives his reasoning or her reasoning for why everybody got done in, and the conspiracy becomes full circle. So Lady Van Tassel this whole time has been, what happened to her essentially, she was a kid and Van Garrett evicted her and left her poor, showed her no mercy. So she was like, right, I'm going to snap this twig. This guy's just been done in, and I'm going to pray to the devil that I can bring him back to avenge what's happened to us, because my ma's dead now because she had no food and all that, and that's all because of the Van Garretts. So what I'll do is I'll marry my way into the Van Tassel family, because that's next to kind of the Van Garretts, and then I'll get the Van Garretts done in. But what she wasn't banking on is that Van Garrett actually got with the widow and married her. So she's like, now I need to do everybody in, and because mate, because
It's so
John,
fucking silly.
because Jonathan, right? Because Jonathan was signed as witness, it was his death sentence. So everybody that conspired in the secret wedding of the Van Garretts all got done in.
See, this is why people lost interest in a lot of the Halloween sequels, because they tried to add too many details to it. And that's what this film is doing. It's deliberately adding details to make it funny. This film is funnier than it gets credit for.
I suppose.
This should be a supernatural slasher movie. Do you know what I mean? He's the Headless Horseman. He cuts heads off. That's what he does. He's indiscriminate. He does it because that's what he does. He will cut heads off until he finds his own head, which could be fucking anywhere. They tried the same thing with the Halloween sequels, and that's where it kind of lost its way. Although it was still fun, they stopped. They didn't get the respect after 1 and 2, right? And that's why. It's because the whole convoluted storylines just get so out of hand that it turns into Scooby-Doo. And that's what this film did. But this film did it completely deliberately, and for that, I give it its applause.
I love it. I love every part of it. So after telling the story here, this is what happens. Katrina, I kind of need you dead because you're the only thing standing in the way of me getting everything here. And I've pretty much worked my ass off to do this. I've even reanimated the dead. So the horseman's coming. He's going to come do you in. Horseman comes. They have a big fight. Start climbing about a windmill. Like, no, I didn't kill his horseman. Horseman's like, I'm no gearing, man. I'm here to kill you. For some reason, she shows up, right? She's like, here's Katrina, get her done in. Tries to kill Katrina. Johnny Depp gets the skull off her. He's like, no, horseman is what he says. Throws the skull to the horseman. Horseman's like, leaves Katrina. Really cool.
The Pee-wee's Big Adventure, but
the head comes and he puts it on and it reanimates to Christopher Walken, who's like that. And the only thing Christopher Walken says in that whole movie is, ah! Right? He says that a few times, and then he starts strolling about, picks up the.
Again, to be fair, the special effects at that moment where his kind of head recomposes is pretty decent, considering it was 1999. It was a lot better than the witch effect earlier on with the.
That was still scary.
Nah, that bit didn't get me. It was just her face. Her fucking face is horrible. But the kind of recomposition of his head, his face, and his hair, that was pretty cool. I mean, even by today's standards, I think I'd be quite happy with that in a film. Was it silly? Fuck yeah. But did it look good? Yeah.
I really enjoyed all the really cool aspects of that. Here we can see some behind the scenes. There's Christopher
It's like,
Walken.
right, Dad, you need to stop this tribute act. It's like, Ken Dodd's been here a long time. You need to fucking get up.
Stop it, you're ruining it for me.
Ken Dodd, Ken Deed. You need to stop that. Nobody knows who Ken Dodd is anymore. Like, what are you talking about? Say everybody loves Ken Dodd. No, they didn't. No, they didn't.
Oh man. Oh. So Christopher Walken's Headless Horseman.
Kenstopher Dodden.
Oh man. So Christopher Dodden then rises over and you see that cool shot of him going, picks up Lady Van Tassel, gives her a bloody kiss, kisses her, but
That's horrible.
That's
rank. That's rank.
It's rank.
I remember I was watching it, I was like, ew. There's something about that. I mean, I've seen it before, and I think it was Interview with the Vampire. I'm pretty sure you see, I'm sure it was Louis, it was Brad Pitt, was kissing a girl, and then the blood started pouring out. This film does that in spades.
The kiss of death is what you can call it.
Pretty effing rank.
And then he then takes her away into his wee tree, and she's like, "Rah!" And then her hand's like that. Camille, man, Camille, kind of just sits there, and that's it. And then they go to London. They adopt little wee fella, wee Davy, other Davy that didn't get his head cut off. And yeah, we're led to believe that they're going to be a nice wee family out in New York, which is so much better than Sleepy Hollow. The end. On the whole, I'll always love Sleepy Hollow. The reason we done this episode, was because I said, we talk about all these great horror movies all the time, but one that doesn't get included in that conversation is Sleepy Hollow, but it's amazing.
like I say, man, it does have its silliness, but I think the silliness is completely deliberate and warranted, and it works. I really, really enjoyed it. I mean, this is where we get onto the really fun bit, is where we give it its wee score out of 5. So, Kevin, out of 5 for Sleepy Hollow, what do we get?
5.
5, a full 5.
What about yourself?
A full 5. I gave it a 4.5. Would you like me to tell you why?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Fuck it, 5. I think the more I was talking about, the more I realised what the film was actually trying to do. So, I will actually give it its 5 stars. It's highly, highly deserved and very underrated. Nobody talks about it anymore, and that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to get people talking about it. So, if you liked this episode, if you liked that movie, tell your friends about it. Tell your friends about that. Tell your friends about this episode. Get them to watch both and just have a fucking laugh. Have a giggle about it. Just ignore the stuff about the Catholic Church. We're all fucking laughing.
I'm just thinking about all the
money we lost.
More memorable quote.
I actually gave mine away earlier on because I couldn't hold my water. It was operate. We have to operate immediately. Operate. She's dead. That really made me chuckle. So that was mine.
For me, from mine has always kind of been he came back to claim the head, because for some reason that's always the thing. When you say Ichabod Crane, that's what I see and hear.
That's it. It's a very personal thing. The old memorable quote, and it's memorable for your own reasons. So yeah, I think we both won and lost that one.
And your memorable scene?
Memorable scene for me was the scene where he was trying to convince everybody that the Headless Horseman was real, and they already knew. That really made me laugh. He was like, "It's true. the Headless Horseman is real. They're like, I know. Fucking, we tell
That's why
you.
you're here.
He's real. I'm telling you. We know.
For me, it will always be that one scene. He spins, falls. It's memorable because that's what it is. It is very memorable.
So, I honestly, man, I had an absolute blast watching it. It was. You said to me the other day, "Why do Sleepy Hollow?" I'm like, "Yeah, fuck it, why not?" And then I watched it. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed everything about it, even the silliness. I realized what the silliness was. It doesn't get enough credit. It doesn't get enough kind of modern appreciation. I think it was mildly appreciated back in the day, but I think it needs to be brought forward a bit and bring back Johnny Depp. Bring back Johnny Depp.
Yeah, we'd like to see him even in Sleepy Hollow 2, where it's about the headless horse woman. That's probably a bit fitting, right?
I bet she's got a fucking head.
So some trivia,
It's just the horsewoman. That's it. That's it. The horsewoman.
Some trivia was you know that Johnny Depp actually adopted Goldeneye, who was the horse in the movie, because he heard that after the movie the horse was getting put down.
Horse was getting fucking shot after that film. I wonder why though. It must have had a bad leg or something. That's the only reason he ever actually kill a horse.
Well, it's cool that he adopted it to save it from dying. That's so nice. Doesn't sound like a horrible man, right?
No, he doesn't, does he? That's funny.
Especially when his
weird.
ex-wife was with him for like so long and was like, yeah, not that kind of guy at all. So it was only after being cast as the Headless Horseman that Christopher Walken admitted to director Tim Burton that he actually did not know how to ride a horse. Shocker.
What was the James Bond film that he was in?
It
was a Roger Moore James Bond film, and he played a guy that loved riding horses. I was like, I'm always happiest in the saddle. That's his kind of his catchphrase for the one, the happiest in the saddle. It's a bit fucking Schwarzenegger, yeah. But I apparently did not know how to ride a horse, and that's why they had to bring in that 1940s or 19 was it the 40s or 50s? The mechanical horse that they had to bring in.
It was 50s, they give it a bit of a rework, that mechanical horse, but it absolutely done.
I think the mechanics of the horse were exactly the same, but the skin and the fur and all that was all up to date. I'm sure it was an Elizabeth Taylor film from the 40s or 50s. But it's I enjoyed this more than I thought I was going to. And for me, that's a win. That's a win.
I knew that I was on to a good one. I was just looking forward to watching it again. That's up there with all the kind of favorite childhood movies of mine growing up watching. That's definitely up there.
Pick a film for Sunday right now. In fact, no, you were going to throw something at me, weren't you?
Right. How about we do, and even ask the people that are watching at home to write yes or no in the comments. A movie came out a couple of years ago that I really, really enjoyed, and I think would be really cool to do a deep dive on. It's probably one of our most recent that we could ever do, like, because we've always done deep dives that are from yesteryear. What if we did Brightburn? Because there's a lot to unpack in that movie, and I think it'd be an interesting conversation.
Okay.
Did you not like it? Did you not like it?
I'll tell you on the deep dive.
So you want to do it, yeah?
Aye, fuck it. Why not?
Cool. Well, we shall do that. And I think the Sunday after that, or the next deep dive after that, you should kind of come up with something that's left field, sorry.
I was going to say, you're not going to get anything left wing.
No. We should, or even have you guys at home tell us. Like, we've not done a poll on a deep dive for a while, so maybe we'd put a poll up after that. But we could select a couple movies each, and essentially do that. So go to jibberjabberpodcast.com and leave us go to the contact box, leave us there, or go to jibberjabberscotland@gmail.com.
I'm fucking telling you. Vanilla Sky. We have to do Vanilla Sky.
We'll do that. We'll put that on the poll.
Like, he doesn't want to do it. Look, I can tell. I'm pointing at his face with my pen. I'm like, he doesn't. Doesn't want. You don't want to do it.
I'll do it. I've got it on DVD. I got it because we did we not plan to do that at some point? We actually did, didn't we? Or you told me about the movie, and I was like, right, I'm going to check it out.
we put it on a poll and it lost by like 1 vote. And
Aye,
it annoyed me. Oh, Vanilla Sky's pants. Is it? Is it?
that's what Heather Dowfer says.
That's what Dowfer can fucking Dowfer herself, right?
Khaled Sabri says Vanilla Sky cool. I mean,
No,
there we
thank
go.
you very much, Khalid Sabri. That's enough for me. We should totally do Vanilla Sky. And also, who are you, Khalid? Send us a fucking email, man.
Nice to meet you, Kelly. So on the whole, I think Sleepy Hollow will always be one of those absolute classics for me. I always liken it to this. If I own it on DVD or Blu-ray, it's because I love it, right? And especially now when people are not buying movies, I still buy the stuff I love. And Sleepy Hollow is something I'll always own a physical copy of because it's one of those movies for me.
Do you ever bought a DVD without seeing it, without knowing you love it?
Sometimes.
Have you still got them?
The movies that I bought without loving.
Aye.
Yeah. I've got like a complete stack. But they're all mainly ones I love. The ones I love less and less, I'm like,
they're not in the screenshot.
They're not in the
screenshot. They're down at the bottom right.
Yeah, they have to be. So you said there that you enjoyed revisiting Sleepy Hollow, and it's definitely a thumbs up for it. Khalid says, "Keep up the good work, guys. Best cinema in Scotland." Bathgate Cinema actually is. It is the best cinema in Scotland.
It is.
It is. Which is why everybody should buy their tickets from www.bathgatecinema.co.uk.
There's not an experience like it, boys and girls, and everything in between. Buy your tickets.
And on that note, we will see you guys on Thursday for a box office banter. I think it's going to be Thursday. We'll definitely see you Sunday. But we will catch up with you soon. Keep an eye on the social media and more updates to come soon. But hey, you guys have stuck with us for 2 hours. 2 hours to hear about Sleepy Hollow. Anybody that's watching us on Facebook, wherever you are watching us, thank you. It'll definitely be Spotify, that I can tell you. And we will see you guys next week.